doctors are paying for softwares that have features that other softwares have. So you're duplicating expenses and you don't need to. These softwares are adding new features. They're constantly innovating. There's so much out there. Are you using what is actually the right fit for your practice versus just being in that comfort zone?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Raving Patients Podcast. As always, I first like to thank the sponsors, both Dental Intelligence and the doc sites, for their support, allowing me to come to your inbox every single Friday with a new episode at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also want to remind everybody about my event, Supercharge Your Dental Practice. It just completed in Scottsdale, Arizona in September of 2024, and we already are promoting the 2025 event. It is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at Pier 66. It's a brand new resort. It isn't even open yet. And this is releasing sometime in November. It's not even open yet. Brand new resort, Pier 66, September 26th and 27th. Put it on your calendar. It's going to be a significantly bigger event than it was in Delray 2 years ago, and a much bigger event than it was in Scottsdale in 2024. Today's guest is Shayna Phipps-Holman, and she happened to be at Supercharge, so I'm going to get her feelings in a second. Shayna, welcome to the Raving Patients Podcast. I wanted you to kind of give your experience at Supercharge. You were there. I know you had a great experience, but for those that may be thinking about coming, can you just tell people kind of your overall experience there, what you thought of the event, what you thought of the venue, those types of things?
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. And once we go into my background, you'll take my comments are a little bit more serious. I think the format of it with the hour breaks and the speakers and your corresponding notepad with one of the speakers there had, I think, life lessons, right? And so I got to follow along and write down those life lessons, which was really engaging for me. A bunch of different strategies that I can take to working with offices. But also the amount of vendors and just networking and learning about all the other products out there. The content was great. The people were great. The food, everyone always likes to comment on food, was wonderful. I do think it is a not miss for next year. I put it on your calendar now. It's worth it. Front desk, back office, clinician, great event.
Well, I appreciate that. I know you had a really good time at it, and it was a fabulous event. I would have liked a little bit more people there. Hurricane didn't help us with people coming from Florida, but overall it was a terrific event, and I'm very excited to do 2025 in Fort Lauderdale, back where I live. So people will have to come to me to be able to do it. So let me go ahead and read your bio for people so they know a little bit more about you. So with 17 years of experience in dental education and software, she has honed her expertise in assisting dental practice professionals in enhancing their skills and practices. Throughout her career, she has successfully advised numerous clients on the ideal clinical course and supporting membership to meet their needs. With her most recent venture in practice management software, she saw a need in the dental industry for an unbiased advocate. When searching for software solutions, it is important for that specific needs are met. By staying abreast of the latest developments in the field, she is equipped to provide valuable insights and guidance to help dental entrepreneurs thrive in an increasingly competitive industry. So Shayna, why don't you start off with kind of who you are and how you help practices, and then we'll jump into how you met me and those types of things.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so a little about me. I am really just love the dental industry. I actually did not like the dentist growing up, had that anxiety, and if you would have told me 20 years ago I'd be in the dental field, I would have said, you're wrong. I'm going to be a veterinarian. Meeting doctors early in my career, right? Chance encounter. I was a server at a high-end restaurant in Scottsdale, actually, and I waited on Imtiaz Manji and Grant Gerke with Patterson at the time, and we just hit it off, and my fate was determined from there.
That's really interesting that you actually were serving at a high-end restaurant. You met Imtiaz Manji, and someone from Patterson, and that's how you basically got your career started in the dental sector. So let's talk about how we met, though, originally. So why don't I'll let you talk about that because it's your story, but talk about your experience, talk about how you got started in with CEREC Doctors and then how we met.
Yeah, so I've had the fortune of meeting thousands of doctors at CERECDoctors.com, which is kind of where I landed after that chance encounter with Imtiaz Manji. And in 2012, I started there in '07. They said, hey, Shayna, what do you think of creating a group of doctors that would come back and help us with the courses? Insert the mentor group. So what that was is these early adopters like yourself of the CEREC technology were coming through and taking our courses, anterior, posterior. That's all we had. And they'd have a big software update push through, and docs would be like, Shayna, I want to come take the course again. Do I have to pay again? So it's like, okay, there's something here. So we created the mentor group, which was about 60 doctors, invite only, who had been through the courses. And the thought there was they can come and take the courses whenever they want for no charge. So yeah, that's when I met Dr. Tao, Len, coming in from Pennsylvania, right? Am I remembering correctly?
Yep.
Yeah. And came in on board and got to learn more about you and your entrepreneur ventureship. And that evolved. That mentor group when I left was, I want to say, over 500, because we wanted it to also be an opportunity that made sense, right? With all the benefits that it evolved to have as a member of a study club, CERECDoctors.com. We would do an annual meeting. So over the years, I was able to see a lot of doctors at least once or twice a year. I always joke, and I've had several doctors even have me over for dinner, but I can probably go to any airport, and if I get stuck, there's a CEREC doctor that I can call and say, hey, I'm here. Are you free? So it's been a wonderful journey there.
I was a CEREC doctor for a couple of years. That was right around the time that I had a career shift, per se, when I started really speaking around the country and going to trade shows all over the place. And my career was not as clinical based. So that's why I only made it a couple of years as a mentor and then dropped out. But the mentorship group was really good. And it really helped me along my CEREC career. So that was a great opportunity to also engage with a lot of people. So let's talk about kind of after CEREC Doctors, you had a career change, or in the sense that you went to a different sector. You still stayed in dental, but you went into the practice management space. So can you talk about your journey through that and kind of how that kind of put you in where you are now?
So I basically had an opportunity come in the practice management sector, and I had some exposure to it at CERECDoctors.com. Thought it was a really good product. Said, heck yeah, let's do this. Wow. There is a lot of dental software out there. The specific practice management software was marketed as an all-in-one solution. So as a result, I had to learn, would it replace this for patient engagement? Would it replace this for text to pay, for example? Would it replace integration with other calendars? Would it replace, that conversation about a server versus on cloud? So once I was done at that practice management software, I was like, how can I take this knowledge and apply it in a way that I can really stay in dental and help the dentist? And that is actually, I reached out to Len in July because there's a handful of people in the space that I really respect and I think have done a good job. And right while you were going through that shift in your career, I was like, who's someone that can give me honest feedback, kind of pick apart my business plan, but has also been successful and can help me do this. And so that is how actually we got to connect. I remember it was July 5th and it was like right after 4th of July. And I'm like, you're working? Dr. Tao is hardcore over here.
I work every day. I'm always doing something. I'm always keeping busy. So this is where Shayna Solutions were born. I am a software guy. I love software. I obviously know a lot about software, not only review software, but software in general, because I had to learn it to be able to discuss it. And I think let's take any cloud-based platform, a lot of the times they promote it as, hey, we're an all-in-one solution, but the all-in-one solution doesn't necessarily make it the best solution to incorporate. And I'm just going to use a software like Weave, for example. Weave is a communication software. They do confirmations, they do reminders, they have their phone, they have reviews, they have forms, they have all these things. Weave's product is, they're an all-in-one product, but I don't believe some of its parts is as good as individual products. especially when it comes to reviews, especially when it comes to these other features. I think their communications are okay, but I don't think it replaces a true communication software. So you, in your space where you're selling a practice management software, you have to really know the nuances of what's good, what's not good, what's going to fit well, what you may have to do separately rather than incorporating it directly in the product. So I think that's how this whole idea came about for what you're going to do is how do things interact with each other? What works best? What doesn't work best? So that's really where you saw the advantage or the need in the space for someone to be giving them an unbiased opinion as to what's going to work best. Is that fair?
Yes, and thank you for summarizing that for me. I think that was part of it. There were several doctors that I knew from CEREC Doctors that were just curious as to what I was doing, and they did end up switching over. What that looked like, though, was a lot of phone calls of, Shayna, can you explain this to me? Shayna, what does this mean? Well, what about this? What about this? And that was kind of where this came to fruition is where's the advocate for the dentist? All these software companies are like, my product is great because of this. Well, do you really know the dynamic of that dental office? A 3-location office is very different than a 1 location. I was a bit naive coming into practice management software, and I'm going to give a shout out to all those early adopters of CEREC. I just was used to being around doctors that were technology advanced, right? And I didn't realize the heavy lift of actually changing your practice management software. And I'll never forget, I was at DS World last year, because this year I had Supercharge your dental practice. And the doc said, Shayna, I don't care how good the software is. I'm not changing. My staff will walk on me, right? Which insert a whole nother set of circumstances that we have since COVID, right? The staffing shortage, you see it everywhere. You've got these temporary staffing accounts, right? And we don't need to teach another temp or someone else one more system, right? If they already know what's already there, even if it is antiquated.
Yeah, I think that, specifically because you're in the practice management sector, or you were in the practice management sector, that is one of the most difficult things to change out in a practice. It affects everything. And I'll use, for example, so I sold my practice in 2021. I clinically stopped practicing in 2022. But after I sold the practice, the new owner was thinking of changing from Dentrix, which I had used literally my entire career. So I mean, literally 2000 to 2021 or 22. So for 20 plus years, I used Dentrix, and she wanted to switch to Open Dental, and they put Open Dental on a local workstation just to try it out. And everybody hated it. It was so different. And she still never changed it over. It is a very difficult thing to do. And yet there are so many new practice management softwares coming out, that all are doing all in one feature. And I think if you are starting a practice now and you're listening to this podcast, I think if you're starting a practice or you're looking to change practice management software, I think you have to go to a cloud-based platform this day and age. I really do. I think it is the only smart way to run a business. But there's so many new practice management softwares out there. It's absolutely insane. So, but again, the sector that you were in was one of the most difficult things to change. And it's one of the most disruptive changes out there. So can you talk about kind of why you feel there's a need for someone to help choose the software that best fits the practice?
Yeah, I think, you talk to a sales rep, and listen, I've been one. They're going to tell you why their product is better. You can talk to, I'll bring up something fresh in my mind, imaging for AI imaging. You can ask those companies why they're better than the other, and they'll tell you. Whereas getting really the truth and having someone understand your practice dynamics. Again, you've got that DSO model that's really been on the forefront these last few years, but there's still a lot of doctors in private practice that need someone's help to make this decision. You can't put it all on the front desk. That office manager knows what is impactful to his or her day to day, but they don't know what you need to see on a clinical side. They don't know maybe all the other costs. Maybe they do know the cost. I've had a doctor say, Shayna, Julie up front pays for that, or I don't know how much I'm paying. And that's where that optimization and consolidation really is important. I'd like to share something interesting with you, Lynn. I had met a doctor here in Scottsdale for coffee because I was, again, doing my research, pick apart my business plan here. And I said, I need some good data. And I'm scouring the ADA to find how many different software solutions offices are using. And I can't find it. And he says to me, you know what, just ask the doctors you've worked with. They'll help you. And so thank you to the doctors listening to this that took part in my survey. Looking at that, doctors are paying, like, you talked about Weave, they're paying for softwares that have features that other softwares have. So you're duplicating expenses and you don't need to. And it's really a result of, I get it, you're busy, again, the staffing concern. Let me help. These features, these softwares are adding new features. They're constantly innovating. Even just what I learned talking to the vendors at Supercharge. I'm like, oh my gosh, you do that now? There's so much out there. Are you using what is actually the right fit for your practice versus just, being in that comfort zone? And don't get me wrong, I had used for 15 years, I was on Microsoft Office and I had to transition to the Google Suite in 2022. And I was so grouchy. I get it. It's hard to change. Ask anyone. It is hard to change, but it doesn't have to be when you've got the right systems and strategies in place.
So can you just take and briefly talk about kind of how you operate? How do you help practices? They hire you. What you do? Talk about what you do for them. That's really what I want to get out there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So really the biggest thing is that I have to offer is I know the clinical side and I also know the non-clinical side, right? And bridging that gap. So it varies. I've got an office right now that is needing to switch from soft dent. There's, again, like you mentioned, a lot of different options out there. I agree. I think anyone should be moving to the cloud if you're having to make a change. I know it can be scary, but I can help answer those questions, right? I know what questions to ask. I know what the doctor wants to know, so I can be on there with the office manager so the doctor can keep seeing patients, right? What's the ultimate thing that the doctor wants to do? See patients, do great dentistry. So I can come in and help from that standpoint. Recently, I've rolled out imaging AI at a 9-location DSO. We're phasing that out, but doing the training, right? Understanding how to implement it into everyday conversations, right? For the hygienist, is going to use it very differently than, obviously, the office manager. Another one is a patient engagement platform, right? Again, this is a big change. How are we using it? Let's make sure that it's effectively making positive strides forward in our practice.
Do you have specific favorite softwares? If you had to pick a couple of them that are out there, just name them off. When people come to you, is there a set number that you always kind of start with? Or I'm just curious who, I like to call them lens favorites. Let's hear Shayna's favorites. I'm curious.
It is important to me to stay unbiased. I do have a couple favorites. Actually, I was looking on your website yesterday as I prepared for that, and I saw your favorites. I think people are very important as well when it comes to making the change, right? Having someone you can trust. I do think something that's good for a doctor in the middle of America, let's just say a doctor in Omaha, is going to be different than a doctor in LA, right? So there's some stuff that the price point is really important, right? A lot of factors to take into consideration. Open dental, right, is a good one. The concept, you feel like you're not spending the money or it's not costing too much, but you look and you start adding up all these other softwares you're using to make it function, right? Like, let's kind of just do the one office that's on soft dent that's looking to change. I think their monthly savings was going to be $500. And so think what you can do with that. I mean, sure, it doesn't sound like that much, but it adds up.
It does add up over time. Is your preference normally cloud or server based, or do you discuss it with the client and see what their preference is and then make recommendations based on that?
I mean, the cloud is not the future. The cloud is here. The cloud has been here. I get 5-10 years ago. I'll say 10. I do think the cloud's simpler for all parties involved. Again, just that heavy lift. So let's accept how it is. Now that new grad, right, coming out and purchasing a practice, absolutely. It's also more secure. It's actually the thing, there's a little bit of a discrepancy or a misnomer out there. The cloud is more secure than your server, right? So, I mean, these companies are using government-backed servers, right? Well, cloud-based servers. So your data, and it's easy to access. You're at dinner, you get an emergency call, you can pull up that patient chart. You don't have to remote in.
Got it. So what type of doctor is the one that's going to be reaching out to you? And what position are they in that they say, hey, I need to reach out to Shayna to learn what Shayna can do for me? So they're listening to this podcast. Who should be reaching out to you? That's really what I want to get to.
So I do have a soft spot for private practice. I have to be honest. I think that, the overhead's a lot higher. So if you're in private practice, you just haven't done any updates, let's just do a quick analysis and make sure you're optimizing what you are using. Now that multi-location, where I come in, right, is going to be more of rolling out those standard operating procedures for specific additions, right, from patient engagement to clinical. You're paying for, what are you paying for and not using? This comes up a lot. You get those, hear other podcasts, Rocket Money, right? Get rid of those unwanted subscriptions. Let me help you with that.
Got it. So somebody who is in the situation where they're looking to make a change, they think they're spending too much money, they are curious if there's better options. Those are the type of people that should be reaching out to you so you can assist them in making smart choices.
Exactly. And I think too, right, these demos, you'll see it's everywhere. Book a demo, get a gift card, book a demo, book a demo, book a demo. If you've got days to hours to spend on demos, totally fine. However, I'm sure you'd rather be seeing patients. I'm sure you'd rather have your office manager work on a really comprehensive treatment plan. I've already been doing that. So tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Maybe something's a deal breaker. Maybe moving to the cloud is a deal breaker. Well, there's options still.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. So, as we are getting a little short on time, I want to switch to the lightning round Q&A, but I wanted to ask, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to mention?
There's one example I'd like to share. I had a doctor, stayed in touch with a lot of the doctors through the CEREC community. And, she calls me one day and she's like, Shayna, she's like, I got a chat bot for my website. And I'm like, awesome. And she's like, the sales guy was really good. And I'm like, Doc, how much are you paying for that? And she's like, it's $1,000 a month. And I'm like, oh man, I just really want to be that advocate, right? It's just, I feel like doctors are taken advantage of.
I hear it all the time. Do you want to share the name of that chatbot out of curiosity?
Though I don't know which chatbot it is, no.
All right. There's one, and I don't like talking negatively about companies, but I'll share it here. There's a company called Dear Doc. Dear Doc is a chatbot company that is they're a scam. I would stay way, way far away from them. So if you're thinking about using them, I absolutely would not. I don't, and again, people who know me don't use this as a pulpit to bash companies, but that is a company that I absolutely would stay far, far away from, just so you know. So.
Well, $1,000 feels like a lot.
It is, but they charge like $3,000, and then they're so aggressive, and then they get you down to $1,000, and then you finally say yes because they've given you such a big discount. That's their sales technique, very aggressive. They don't get you off the phone. They keep calling you back again. Just avoid them like the plague, and you won't be too many issues. So, all right, Shayna. So let's switch gears here, and then we'll grab your contact information and find out people can contact you. Okay. So, we're going to do this lightning round Q&A. I'm going to ask you some questions. The point of this is to answer them as quickly as you can. So very fast answers. We'll try to get through 8 to 10 of them. Okay. Number 1, do you have a system in place to keep yourself organized?
Yes, I have a few systems. I've been using HubSpot, Google Suite, the voice reminder on my phone for everything that comes up while I'm driving. And then I've got a little note for the 2 a.m. ideas that I actually experienced this morning.
Got it. What habits have helped make you successful?
I like to listen to podcasts, actually. They get my brain thinking about other angles, helps me understand different industry positions, thought processes.
Got it. Do you keep a journal, and does it help you?
I go back and forth on this. I will stay up on it and then get busy and it goes on the wayside. So right now, my journal's on the wayside.
And I think you answered this already, but what was the one thing you wanted to be when you were a child, when you grew up?
It started as a veterinarian, then it became a nurse, and then I had someone I babysat for was like, be a physician. Then I realized how much school that was, and I got that biology degree, but ever evolving.
Got it. What deserves all your attention but seldom gets it?
Oh, I'd have to say something around the house, keeping up with the house.
All right. If you had a magic stick, this is a tough one. What are 3 things you would change in the world today?
Peace. I hate, the timing of this podcast, right? I wish people could be more patient with other people's views. Kindness, considering what is happening in the other, you never know what's going on in that other car next to you, right? Man, I feel like I'm a little bit of a hippie here. Just peace and love.
All right. That works for me. Who is one person you'd love to have as a mentor?
Someone funny. Will Ferrell, a Tina Fey. Tina Fey is actually pretty. I'd go with her.
All right. What have you learned from the most successful person you know?
Come with a plan.
Okay. How do you define the word success?
Oh, that's a really good one for me to lightning fire out. I do value being a mother significantly. That gives me a lot of purpose, but being a working mom is something I am very proud of. So balance, time management, to be able to do both.
What profession do you think is the most undervalued today?
You know what I hate? Phone trees and call centers. I think answering the phone and having the knowledge to answer the phone and offer a solution.
Okay. I know you said you listen to podcasts, so the question is, what is your favorite business podcast?
So I don't know if this is business, but I've really gotten into the subtle art of not giving an F. I got into that earlier this year, and he brings on great speakers, authors, different strategies that I can take in both personal and professional life.
All right. Last question. I ask everybody this question. Could be business or personal. Okay.
Okay.
What is one subscription you could not live without?
I did cancel my Amazon Prime to see if I really needed it. And I'm not going to lie. I need it. And I can't restart it on my phone. I have to do it on the computer. So I'm going to do that after this.
So Amazon Prime, that's the most common answer we get. So Shayna, thank you for taking part in that. So how can people find more about what you offer and how you help practices?
Yeah, so I've got my website. It's shaynasolutions.com. So 2 S's in the middle there. There you can book a consultation. And then my email is Shayna L. Holman. I'll spell that. It's Shayna, middle initial L. Sneak that in there. Holman, HOLMAN @gmail. My cell phone, a bunch of docs love to text me. I know that's easy as well, is 480-444-9982.
Well, this is great. Thank you for introducing your new company to my audience. Guys, if you have an idea that you need Shayna's help, you're struggling with picking software, you think you're overpaying, you're not sure it's a good fit, definitely Shayna's a person to reach out to. She just gave her contact information, so feel free to reach out. Let her know you heard about her on the Raving Patients podcast. If you like the episode, tell a friend about it, review us, like us, recommend us to some people. I mean, it's how my podcast grows. We're about 1,200 downloads per month, per episode at this point, looking to obviously grow it. And I don't do a whole lot to grow it other than, promote it and ask people to like it and help promote it as well. Remember to thank the sponsors, both Dental Intelligence and the doc sites, for their support. And remember about my event, Supercharge with Dental Practice, September 26th and 27th in 2025 at Pier 66 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Shayna would be the first to tell you need to come. So wait for information to be ready to put that back on sale coming soon. Probably, hopefully in December, or worst case, beginning of January, we'll have that ready to start selling tickets to that event. And I'm excited to bring it back to Florida. Shayna, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with the audience today. And it was great chatting with you. And as I end every single one of my podcasts, remember, your reputation matters. Until the next episode, thanks, Shayna, so much for joining me. And we'll talk to everyone soon.
Thank you.